Back in the 60s, the world had never seen a fighter quite like Muhammad Ali, and it hasn't seen one since. This channel has covered his unique style many times before, but this time we're going to look at the unusual way that Ali fought Southpaws. Ali only fought 2 Southpaws as a pro, as they were much rarer at the time. Just like always, Ali broke with convention, blending his natural talent and creativity to devise an innovative way of fighting that was all his own. How he handled these 2 opponents can provide a fascinating look into some alternatives for how to fight Southpaws, or how to fight as a Southpaw, for anyone with the reflexes to pull it off. First, let's take a look at how Ali normally fought. When fighting an orthodox fighter, Ali would circle deep inside. This means he went towards his opponent's chest instead of towards his back. The deeper inside you step, the more you open both yourself and your opponent up to attacks. As much as he's known as a defensive fighter, playing it safe wasn't Ali's style. Ali liked to put both himself and his opponent in a dangerous position, and then beat him with his superior reflexes and intellect. To get this position, Ali cross-stepped his back foot past his front, hopped off his lead foot, and flared his rear arm out for balance and extra reach as he jabbed. These are all things every boxer is taught not to do on day one. But for Ali, these movements provided extra speed and balance to help him gracefully dance around the ring. Keeping his hands low, Ali used risky head movement to evade blows and bait his opponents, tempting them to reach further and further until they inevitably found themselves victim to one of Ali's lightning-fast counters. And this is the system that Ali tried to use against the first Southpaw he ever fought as a pro, European champion Karl Mildenberger. At this point, Ali was a champion very much in his prime, but still, for the first 2 rounds, Mildenberger gave Ali a load of trouble. He missed nearly every punch he threw, and was taking some hard shots himself. And it all had to do with Mildenberger being a southpaw, standing with his right foot forward. The textbook strategy when fighting in an open stance, where one fighter has his right foot forward and the other his left, is to take the outside foot position. This lines a fighter's rear hand down the center line, making it easier to connect. By circling left as he normally did against orthodox fighters, Ali was moving to the outside, which should have helped him take the outside foot position. The problem was Ali's hop and cross step. By cross-stepping and pivoting, Ali gave Mildenberger a split second longer to cut him off. The extra movements in Ali's footwork pattern that normally lent him such an advantage were actually a huge hindrance when used against a southpaw fighter. At the time, Mildenberger outjabbing Ali was nothing short of shocking. Ali had outjabbed Sonny Liston just a year earlier to take and retain the heavyweight title, and Liston had a reach advantage and was known for his tremendous jab. In the third, Ali realized it was time for a change of plans. He started circling to the right, moving to the inside towards Mildenberger's chest. This meant that Ali was circling directly into the path of Mildenberger's rear hand, but it also meant that Mildenberger could no longer trap him. Plus, moving inside actually lined up Ali's jab down the center line, making it much easier to connect. While it's common knowledge that a fighter should move outside to better angle his cross and lead hook, an inside position will ensure a fighter can land his jab in time to beat any other punch. So once again, Ali could control his opponent with his blinding fast jab. This tactic came with the added benefit of closing off his lead side, and this let him roll punches off his shoulder and use his forearm as a shield. More importantly, Ali now had a good path to land with his rear hand. By moving inside, he forced Mildenberger to do the same in order to follow him. As Mildenberger stepped in to throw his jab, Ali would simply stop and let him move past him to counter with a short, sharp cross. Ali was basically letting him walk himself right into a hard right. To deal with Mildenberger's cross, Ali used an old trick of his in a new way. He shifted back into southpaw. Normally he did this to protect against orthodox fighters' lead hand and then pivoted out to create a new angle. But now he used it to protect himself from Mildenberger's cross, putting himself into a close position so that he could roll punches off of his new rear shoulder. This same tactic proved to be extremely useful to exit exchanges after Ali threw his own rear hand. Long story short, By adjusting his movement, Ali was able to use the tools that he had perfected against orthodox fighters much more easily. Rather than trying to change his style, Ali found a way to use what he was already familiar with and play to his strengths. Like most of Ali's opponents, Mildenberger over time began to lose form and overreach. This is exactly what Ali wanted, an opportunity to counter a frustrated opponent who's desperate to land because they see a knockout as their only chance. And now that Ali was dominating the lead hand battle, he was able to land some beautiful knockdowns by countering Mildenberger's rear hand. For example, here Ali intercepts Mildenberger's rear hook with the short right cross down the middle. And here Mildenberger steps in far, trying to catch Ali with the cross before he escapes out the side door. But Ali stops short and throws a tight hook, dropping him. And here, Ali steps back, slips, and crosses over Mildenberger's cross. It's hard enough to cross over an opponent's jab when both fighters have their left foot forward, but crossing over an opponent's cross in an open stance is kind of insane. After rounds and rounds of punishment, the referee finally stopped the fight in the 12th. Ali didn't fight another southpaw until 10 years later, when he faced Richard Dunn. This was the tail end of his career, and Ali had lost a good deal of speed and cardio, but he was still the best. Ali reused all the same techniques from his fight with Mildenberger. However, 10 years had given him a more developed skill set, and he had some new tricks up his sleeve. Mainly, Ali showcased his ability to lead with his cross, something he'd used to great avail against Big George Foreman. Since an open position makes it easier to land a cross, Ali was landing hard right after hard right. To deal with his reduced stamina over the years, Ali had learned to use a high guard and clinching tactics, and as such had become far more comfortable standing and throwing. That was the case here, as Ali showed Dunn little of the respect he had shown Mildenberger. The ref ended the fight in the 5th after 5 knockdowns. Some fighters know the technical terms and principles inside and out, and some learn it inherently through intuition and hours of practice. Whichever it was with Ali, these fights helped to emphasize that his greatest strength was not his speed or reflexes, but his ability to adapt on the fly and pick the perfect tools to finish the job, regardless of his opponent. If you want to see how Ali's footwork can be successfully modified to move outside, you can check out my breakdown on the all-time great southpaw fighter, Pernell Whitaker. If you'd like to see a Muay Thai variation that deals with kicks, you can check out my breakdown on the legendary fighter, Samart Peakaran. Stay tuned for an upcoming breakdown on the tactics that George Foreman used to retake his heavyweight title 20 years later. Leave suggestions below for any fight or technique breakdowns you'd like to see. And if you'd like to learn more about how Ali and other defensive geniuses fought, you can check out my newly released ebook, Aggressive Defense. From the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.